Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Odin here. Sunday evening, making another video. Another video because what's annoying? It's always so annoying. I made a full video. I sat here talking, doing my spiel, talking about all this shit. Uploaded it just for it to get blocked. Copyright all countries because of the Red Dwarf content that I was putting up. I often do like the display capture function here up in that corner, and apparently that size of playing Red Dwarf was too big. It caught it and it said copyright, which I thought that was about the size I've done before, but whatever. So I'm just not gonna do Red Dwarf stuff. I'm sick of spending all that time talking about stuff, talking about Red Dwarf. It was like a 45-minute video just to have it be for naught. So anyway, let's try to regroup and do this all over again. It is Sunday, and as such, I'm going to tell you what's going on in my world and in the world of Broken Compass Entertainment, and all things that I feel important to talk about at any given moment on any given Sunday. Any given Sunday. Let's see. What do we got going on? Well, the holidays are coming up. That's a thing. It feels weird just because I basically said this all once before. It's going to sound totally different because it's all free form, no script. So it's not like I'm going to say the exact same things, but I talked about the holidays, so we'll talk about them again. This Christmas is a little weird for me. So far, I have nothing of note Christmas-wise, really. No Christmas decorations up. I found very little time to do any of that. And then, I have the gifts I'm giving my daughters, I have them all earmarked. They're not, well, a couple of them are purchased. But, it's like everything feels behind the eight ball, which is kind of normal for me around Christmas. But with all the change of the new location and everything, it feels even more chaotic or less on top of things. Nevertheless, it will be good as I get my girls this coming weekend, and we will celebrate this coming weekend. They will be with their mom on Christmas Day, but shortly after that, I believe on the 27th, we'll be driving to Colorado, and I'll stay there through New Year's just for a visit to see some friends and family. It's like I won't be there on Christmas, but everyone will still have their Christmas stuff up, so it'll still be like I get to see family for Christmas. It's one of those things. Yeah, my kids have been bugging me about going back to Colorado, so and I want to go. It just being in Colorado from time to time just grounds me. It's where all my family is, most of my family anyway, and my closest friends and stuff. So we'll do that, and yeah. So I got kind of the girls what I know I'm gonna get them, and then I got a big gift for myself coming up. As I've mentioned it before, I sold my truck when I moved from Washington out here, and I've felt naked without a truck, or without a four-wheel drive vehicle. It doesn't have to be a truck, just a capable vehicle, four-wheel drive, or with clearance and power, and all these things. Like my car, I don't want to take it like out in the mud and in the camping and things like that. So I just feel naked not having that second auxiliary vehicle specifically for work stuff and outdoor stuff and things like that. I liken it to when I don't have my pocket knife on me. And it's like when you need that thing and you don't have it. So I always feel naked when I don't have my pocket knife. Like when I fly on an airplane, I always feel weird because, I'll leave the pocket knife at home. unless I check a bag. If you check a bag, you can put your knife in the checked bag, but can't carry it on the plane with you. And I've actually literally thrown a knife in the trash at the airport because I forget. I'm so used to just having it on my person all the time. So it's kind of like that. And I felt kind of naked without the truck. I mean, keep my car, but it's also one of those things, especially with a better vehicle and conditions, you kind of like, you put the key up for the one and you grab the other key and go. Or if one car is kind of acting up, you just grab the other key. There's comfort in that. So I kind of feel like Steve Martin in The Jerk, where I'm just like, and this, and that's all I need, and a truck, and that's all I need. But it may not be a truck. I was looking at Jeeps as well, the unlimited 4-door Jeeps that are nice for when you have multiple people riding with you, as I will most of the time. And I looked at one. It was everything I kind of wanted, and took it for a test drive. It was a manual, and it was shifting great. And they said they just replaced the clutch, and clutch cable and everything was good, and it did shift good. But in the higher gears, and as I was driving, I was starting to notice this like ticking noise, kind of grindy ticking noise. And I mentioned it to him. I'm like, yeah, that's the only thing that giving me pause about this vehicle is there's this noise. I don't like it. And they're like, oh, well, that's the first we've heard of that. And I'm like, well, now you've heard of it. Like, it's a thing. It's really there. I hear it. It was like a cold day, and I turned down the heat. I turned off the radio. I just wanted to hear the engine and things. And it's like this ticking noise. And so anyway, I'm like, I'm going to hold off, but, if you figure that out. But a little research, and I believe that's a rocker arm bearing failure, which makes that ticking noise and basically rubs on the cam, and that's just like slapping against it, and can cause engine failure, cause all kinds of trouble. If you take care of it right away, it's not that big a deal, but if you who knows how long that's been going. They're like, oh, it's the first we've heard of it, but you never know. So I'm going to pass on that one. That was a Jeep. I was actually really interested. Like, I was there fully planning, like, after, if I test drove it and everything was fine, I was going to get that. And, because even with a Jeep, it's nice to have a bed, but I could get like a pretty cheap utility trailer or something to pull behind it and get everything done that I need. It's not like I'm carrying a fifth wheel or a boat or something, a big heavy boat or anything heavy where I need that extra torque and power. But the off-road capabilities of a Jeep, I'm like, that I could utilize really well. So I was like, that'll be fine. So, but anyway, Tuesday I'm going to be looking at a 3/4 ton Ford, which I haven't had much success with Fords. I've always wanted to like Fords. I just haven't had one that made me a believer. The closest was the Sexpedition. I did have an Expedition. It's basically the half-ton truck. Everything's the same motor, the 5.4 Triton. The motor wasn't bad, but all the sensors and things, once one thing started failing, and I just chasing problems on that thing. And then I had a 97 or 99 F-150, and that one was a manual. And I liked it, but until it fucked up, and it was just constantly chasing problems. But it became way more of a headache than and so I'm going to give them one more chance. Look at this 3/4 ton. Looks very nice. Looks like everything I would love. But just hesitant, I guess. We'll see. It looks great. I'm like, I really like the truck, and I want to take it for a ride, see how it goes. And then they also have a Jeep, same thing, a manual Jeep Unlimited 4-door. That would be cool. So one way or another, I think before the end of the week, I'll have a new Christmas present for myself. And then the proof is in the pudding because I'm going to take it to Colorado and see how it does. But yeah. So that's kind of what's been going on in my little world. Also drawing a lot. I shared this page that is being shown here on social media all over the place. It's a new Kill Them Dead page. This was a lot of fun, and I haven't, until I decided to take on the penciling duties for Kill Them Dead, I haven't drawn like fully formed pencil drawings in a long time. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I thought I was just purely an ink guy, and I would only pencil just to get to the ink. And maybe as this goes along and Skunk Artworks and myself get a little more on the same page, maybe I won't have to do as fully formed pencils as this, but it's been a lot of fun. The other fun thing is this is basically the song The Endless. So we recorded 2 songs for Kill Them Dead, Empress of Glass and The Endless. The Endless was the first one we released. And it's a powerful song. I love it. It's driving, it's heavy, it's powerful, and it represents this portion of the book, the page previous to this and the next few pages. So it's really cool because I not only co-wrote with James the portion of the story, also wrote the lyrics for the song and came up with the melody, and now I'm drawing the pages, so like I can hear the song in my head as I'm working on it. So we've got the Rat King here coming out of the water. The Rat King is basically... So if you don't know what a Rat King is when rats are in the sewer or something, and they're just climbing all over each other, and their tails get intertwined until they're like one big ball of rat. It's such a gross, crazy thing, right? So this character is like a lost souls of the underworld Rat King. It's all these bodies of lost souls and monsters and things all getting intertwined until they form this conglomeration monster called the Rat King. And so this is them being formed. The previous page, I kind of show it, and you see, like, if you look right, you can see a face being formed out of these bodies. And then now this is like the monster itself. And then up here at the top, that's him like boarding the ship. And then here you've got a bird's eye kind of view of the Rat King and the Minotaur facing off. And that was just to give scale, show like some little dudes. And then this giant Rat King. And the Minotaur is no slouch himself. He's pretty giant as well. And they have their face off. And, the Minotaur has become like a very popular character. We saw that with the art contest. A lot of people like drawing the Minotaur. I don't blame him. He's a lot of fun to draw. But James and I were talking. We were like, he's not really the biggest part in this story. And so we were contemplating of finding a way to bring him back. But as it stands, he's kind of in this moment where his story is going to start nearing its at least assumed end. So as he battles the Rat King, so you've got Minotaur up here in an aggressive, defensive, maybe attack posture, and at the bottom here you've got the Rat King just reaching out and grabbing the Minotaur. And then where it goes from there, you can only guess, because I'm not going to give away the next portion, but But this has been a lot of fun to draw. I'm excited, very excited to see what Sebastian does with this when he adds the ink and color. Um, he was really excited. He loves the page, but he's like, I'm afraid that I'm worried I'll screw it up, or not. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna crush it. He's too good not to. So, but one thing that's nice about being able to do the pencils myself is I understand the story, I understand the intensity, and what's expected going forward. So yeah, that's it's been a lot of fun, and we got that we're working on. Started working on another shove page, and it's pencils. I guess I could show it, but you won't even be able to see anything. It's penciled, but it's you're not going to be able to tell. So this is kind of pencils I do for shove, which is basically like just enough for me to throw the inks over top of it. And this isn't done either. I'm going to do more penciling before I ink it, but so basically this middle panel at the top, that's probably about the level of penciling, but it's pretty sketchy, not like this. So, but when I'm doing my own inks, that's all I need. But if you notice, some people have said my inks are clean, but they're not. They're very sketchy, and that's because I draw a lot with the ink. So, but it's been fun doing the penciling. So yeah, that's what's going on. Let's see. We haven't done a Saturday Night Leaped in a while. So 2 Saturdays ago, it was my daughter's birthday. And then it was also, I was sick. So that was another reason why I didn't do the show. And so we just didn't do one. And then this week, James wasn't feeling well. And it's understandable. So we didn't do it this week either. So hopefully next week we'll be back on track with that. Let's see. I was going to do the Red Dwarf breakdown, which I enjoy, but to sit there and make like almost 50 minutes of rambling and talking about an episode just to have it get copyright, I'm not going to mess with it anymore. So the episode was called Thanks for the Memory. And it really is a good episode. It's season 2, episode 3. So if you're curious about Red Dwarf, it may not be the best one to start with, but it's a good episode. It highlights these 2 characters, Rimmer and Lister, who are like the odd couple, but it is a really like bonding episode for them, because they're stuck like being roommates with the human race extinct, and it's just them more or less. So you see how they actually have a certain level of care and comfort within that relationship, even though they can't stand each other. So really good in that respects. Plus they get drunk, and in their drunkenness, Lister talks about a sandwich he came up with that was one of the best, and they try it, called the triple fried egg chili sauce and chutney sandwich. And it was great because I got my girls all into Red Dwarf. We've watched all the episodes. It's a family bonding thing basically for us anymore. And we watched that episode and talked about it, and we all decided we're going to do a Red Dwarf night, and we're going to make those sandwiches. So we got all the ingredients and made those triple fried egg, chili sauce, and chutney sandwiches. Now, I'm an easy touch when it comes to food. I like all food. Like, if it's food, I usually like it. There's very few things I don't like. You put a plate in front of me and you say, this is food, I'm probably going to gobble it up and enjoy it. I'm very non-picky when it comes to food. So I loved the sandwich. Plus, if it's spicy, like if it's spicy, I'm really gonna love it. So I just loved the sandwiches. My girls not so much, but it was still fun to make them and have that moment. And every little thing we do like that, you know, I tell them all the time. It's like these we're making memories here, and you're gonna grow up and have your own kids, and you're gonna take the little memory making things that I did and your mom did that you liked, and you're going to kind of emulate them in your own way. And you're going to take the things, or hopefully take the things you didn't like that we did, and improve on them as a parent yourself. That's how I approached parenthood. I remembered the impactful things that my parents did, that both good and bad. And the good ones, I wanted to reincorporate something like that in my own way. And the negative ones, I wanted to dismiss or improve upon. And, I tried to be pretty conscious of these things as a father. Now, that said, in the daily whatever you're doing, you don't think about those things, but in an overall sense. And so when it came to those moments of like, what do we do to make memories? I remember certain things that just hit home for me for whatever reason at different ages, different times, different experiences. So on the show The Gutter, hosted by my friend Aldous and JP, they had an episode, by the way, is a great comic book related show, even though the episode I'm going to reference wasn't about comic books, it was about Doctor Who. But Friday nights, check it out. It's Friday night late, I think 11 or 11:30 Eastern on Friday nights on LCH Comic Talk channel. But a great show, worth checking out, especially if you love just geeking out over different comic books and things like that. And quite often, they talk about things that I don't know, but I'm very intrigued because the level of interest and the way they break it down draws me in. But they did an episode about Doctor Who, which, I'm not steeped in Doctor Who. I'm not like a giant Doctor Who fan, but I've always loved it from afar, sort of. And it's because of my childhood. So I grew up with Doctor Who, but the newer episodes I never really got into. Like, to me, Tom Baker was Doctor Who. I liked some of the other Doctors, older ones. But for the most part, that's who Doctor Who was. And that's what I enjoyed. But I remember, and this is probably like 4 or 5. It was pre-kindergarten, because I know where I was living at the time. Pre-kindergarten, so 4-ish. As early memories, 3 or 4. And because I started kindergarten really early, but I remember my first exposure to Doctor Who, and it was like a big thing. I remember my oldest brother, who would have been like 15 at the time. Yeah, I could feel his excitement. And I remember they pulled out the TV trays. We had like TV trays, like the actual metal clippy TV trays. And I remember what we were eating was rice based. That's all I remember. I remember I had rice and peas, and I wasn't like a big fan of whatever it was, sausage, something like that, beef, I don't know. But we sat down as a family. So it was my dad, my mom, my brother, I'm assuming my sister. She might have been off doing something else. But and then my other brother and me, the 2 little ones, with our TV trays to watch Doctor Who. And it wasn't like some premiere episode or anything. It was on PBS. I don't know why. But it was like, I remember there was excitement about it. And it's just like one of my earliest memories. And I remember the show scared the piss out of me, which is so ridiculous watching it now. Like the Daleks, like when they were saying like, exterminate, exterminate, like saying that. And then whatever the guy who controlled them was, they were so weird looking because the effects were so horrible that it was actually scarier to like a kid my age, you know. And I just remember like being freaked out by the show. Like it seemed so intense. But Tom Baker was so engaging. He felt like a fatherly figure or something. He just like a warming kind of personality. So it was kind of like balanced with with him, but that's a memory I have. For whatever reason, Doctor Who night, which didn't last long. My parents got divorced, and then I lived with my mom more of the time, and my mom wasn't about to watch Doctor Who, except that my dad made her. So, so that went bye bye. But I remember that hit home, and that's what I tell my kids is like these moments, all the camping trips, all the late night fire pits out in the backyard, or um, snowboarding trips, or things, especially the ones where everything goes wrong and we're in trouble or something like that. It's like those are the memories, you know. That's what we're doing is making memories, and you'll do the same for your kids. But I think about that with the holidays because I think like there's people who hate Christmas. They just don't. They're Scrooges, right? They're bah humbug Scrooges, and fine, whatever. I love Christmas. I've always loved Christmas, and I think that's what it boils down to. Is like it has to go back to childhood. Really, I just have. I have to imagine these people that hate all the things about Christmas, that they just didn't have that moment as a child that just drew them into the wonder and spirit of Christmas. Whereas I remember that. And you spend the rest of your life trying to recapture that, not only for yourself, but when you have kids, for your kids. You want them to experience it. But then you meet these people who like, like they complain about Christmas music and the Christmas lights and things. Mostly people complain about the Christmas music. And I kind of understand that because when I'm talking Christmas music, it's quite different than what most people are. Because people go, oh, Mariah Carey, like, was she the one who did All I Want for Christmas Is You or whatever? And I mean, yeah, that stuff's like makes me want to vomit out of my ass. That's horrible. But that's not what I think of when I think of Christmas music. Like, my favorite Christmas music are the hymn styles. Like Charles Wesley writing Hark the Herald is still my favorite Christmas song, but I like that, and like Joy to the World, Silent Night, The First Noel, Away in a Manger. Like these are the ones that seem more focused around the Christian theme of the birth of Christ. Those ones I definitely enjoy the most. There's several other Christmas songs I like, but when people are like, I could, can't take another Mariah Carey song, I'm like, yeah, well, neither can I. That's not what I think of when I think of. So I have Christmas music blaring, but it's very well composed Christmas songs in my mind, and usually done by a very talented band or group of artists. So that's the difference. But anyway, when people have that Scrooge mentality, I just always go like, man, you never had that moment where Christmas became something more than just getting gifts and I think what often happens is as parents is maybe we try too hard sometimes. And I've seen that with some people, especially with like large families, and they want everyone there. And it's just like a big giant gathering, and everything gets lost in the hustle and bustle of it. Because like the Christmases that I least liked were the ones where we had lots of family there. And I hate to say that because it sounds like a great thing, but what happens is your parents get really tied up with talking with adults, and they get really tied up in the preparation or maybe in travel from one place to another, and just in the hubbub of it. But my favorite Christmases were just my siblings and my parents, just the immediate family, because everything was focused on just us and just the moment of that morning. And, you know, your parents aren't distracted by other adults and talking about, you know, projects and whatever they got going on in their lives. You know, they were just focused on the moment for their kids. And my parents were divorced when I was 3. So even that memory of Doctor Who, that was them like kind of in separation, basically. Like they were, I don't know, timelines and everything. Maybe they were divorced when I was 4, but around that time is when that happened. But throughout my life, Christmas time, they put aside the fact that they were divorced for our sake. And my dad would always be there. And my mom and my dad would always be there Christmas Day as a family. Even when my dad lived out of town, he would come into town, and obviously he wouldn't sleep in the same bed. He would oftentimes stay in a hotel or whatever the case was, or he'd sleep on the couch. But he was allowed to be part of the overall family Christmas. And that was pretty special. And they would do all the things together. You know, even the night before, I remember them going like late Christmas Eve. I remember one time they went shopping for stuff for us Christmas Eve, like a last minute. You know, some places stay open late and have great sales and things like that. And they did this last minute shopping spree for us together while us kids stayed home. And it was nothing romantic. My mom really, after they divorced, could never really stand my dad. But she didn't hate him, but there was no interest in that. My dad was different. He kind of always hoped, but that said, and I remember, and they would, you know, fill the stockings for us at night together, you know, while we were asleep. And just kind of like put aside that we're divorced to make Christmas something special for us. So maybe that's part of the reason why, you know, because I could see the power of that. And the girl's mom and I, we don't do that. I've never pushed for it. I never, because I think mostly because I didn't want to be misconstrued. But it would be nice in that same sense, like for their sake, because as it stands, my kids get 2 Christmases, which is great, and they're 2 really awesome Christmases. But they probably would be more awesome if we combined our efforts, I guess. But regardless, hopefully we've created that magic for them so that they're not sticks in the mud with their kids about Christmas, because there's something special about it. It's a holiday that just has this mystique, and you know, part of that mystique is the lights and the gifts and the food and the music, and so yeah, as I ramble on about this, but as I think about that, you know, I can watch the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I can watch regular Vacation, and every dad can identify with Clark Griswold on a certain level. Like, nobody's him. But we've all been there where you planned all the greatness and everything goes kind of wrong. But probably my favorite thing about, especially on Christmas Vacation, was how entrenched he was in the concept of the magic of Christmas, and trying so hard to make, and again, that kind of comes back to that. You try so hard, maybe that's not the point, but he wanted to, you know, you could sense in his person, he had this magical experience, and forever trying to recapture that for him and for his kids, and which I think is great. And that's why I think the beauty of those kind of movies where it's like you try to make Christmas great and everything goes wrong. That's basically Christmas movies. And me and my kids, we have Christmas movie traditions. National Lampoon's is one. And they're doing a watch party at the theater on Christmas Eve of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But it's sold out, so... And plus, I'll be taking my kids back to their mom that day, so I won't be doing that. But that would be fun. So we watched that one. One of my favorites that we watch every year is Ernest Saves Christmas. I love that one because I love Jim Varney. Ernest P. Worrell is a great character. And it was kind of the same thing through that whole movie. He just believed in the magic of Christmas, even though he's kind of a blundering idiot, and it's great. And then Scrooged. We watch Scrooged every year with Bill Murray. Another great Christmas movie. Just because Bill Murray is phenomenal. And what's another one we watch every year? Watch Home Alone every year. You know, like that one was a pretty big movie when I was a kid. Like that was like the big movie that Blockbuster Christmas came out. And it was, I don't know, one of the last in my mind. And that's probably perception because of my age, but that was just like this powerful Christmas movie. But I've tried to show them some of the classics. Christmas Carol, Miracle on 34th Street. White Christmas, and you know, I was raised on those, but you know, they're just a generation too far removed. It feels like they don't get it. It's fine, but I'll enjoy those. And then everybody clamoring for the Die Hard as a Christmas movie. Maybe we'll watch it. I've never been like a Die Hard as a Christmas movie. I'm like, Gremlins is a Christmas movie, Die Hard's a Christmas... Maybe they are. But just because they happen around Christmas, to me, doesn't make them Christmas. Like, they have to embody the spirit of Christmas to be a Christmas movie in my mind. So I do kind of... I don't care. Like, really, I don't care. Like, if you want to call it a Christmas movie or make it a Christmas... Fine. You know, but to me, I don't feel they're Christmas movies. They just happen to take place around Christmas. So, for whatever that's worth. But they're good movies. I love Gremlins. I love Die Hard. They're good movies. But I don't, you know, they're not Christmas movies in my mind. They're just happen to be set in that time. So, yeah, whatever. So with that though, I'm gonna wrap up. Like I said, basically saying some of the same things, some different things, I'm sure. All over again. But I hope you think about those things as the holidays draw near. Just for you and yours, that not to get lost in the commotion of it, but stay centered in the spirit of it, which is the moral of every Christmas movie ever made, basically. And that's why I say they have to have that kind of, that moral, basically, is that amidst all the chaos and all the other stuff, what it really comes down to is, you know, family and making a memory. So yeah, in the midst of those moments, don't forget, especially when you have kids. Like when I was a young man without kids, Christmas was like a whole different ballgame. It was fun. It was still fun. And I had nieces and nephews and stuff and try and make it fun for them. But like, I remember doing like several Christmases. I was like, at my buddy's house, we'll go there, and then we'll go to my sister's house, and then we'll go to another friend's house, and we'll finish here. And just opening presents and eating tons of food with everybody, and it's great. But when you got kids, like, and you do that kind of stuff, you're just driving them mad, and you're killing the feel of it. The more you can keep it contained to just that family element, and even if you go do stuff later, but you have to have that morning, and that was always the thing. Even when people are like, hey, inviting me for Christmas, but I had my kids, I'd say, we can come, but not until we've really wrapped up our Christmas morning and fully just kind of like settled that. And that means like them playing with their stuff for a while before we get them up and pack them up and go somewhere else. So we would have like our breakfast, and it kind of followed the same script where they would get up, see their stockings full, and we say, you guys can just go to town on those while we get some food ready. And then we'd eat something really quick, even though I tried to make something really nice, but they would always be like so focused on presents they wouldn't even really eat. And then it was just go to town on presents. But then they need that little moment to like enjoy what they just got. And as a parent, you just sit there, in your PJs basically, just kind of like sitting back enjoying watching your kids enjoy their winnings. Doing nothing all year, but that, until that's kind of like settled, I always said like, it's not going to be till like late afternoon, early evening that we're going to get up and do anything else. And even that sometimes felt like a chore. Even though once we got there, it was good to see people, but I just, for the kids' sake, I'm like, they have to enjoy that moment before we move on to the next thing. So anyway, with that, wrap up the video. Also coming up is New Year's, to which I'll make some kind of retrospective and prospective kind of video like I do, which is always more for my sake. It's just a way to gather all the craziness of the year into one moment and talk about my hopes and fears for the coming year, etc. So, but if anyone listens, that's great. But yeah, like I said, keep that in mind. And then, as always, wherever you're at in life, whatever you're doing, always face those obstacles with power, confidence, courage, strength, as well as a great care for the loved ones around you. And above all, do everything with integrity, and usually things will work out well when you do that. So anyway, lots of things I probably meant to talk about that didn't, and maybe things I talked about that I didn't mean to, but that's where we're going to end it. So until next time, this is Odin here. Take care. We'll talk soon.